title of today in this event of the Splashdown series. This is an event that wants to exemplify our shared commitments and to advance to innovative and sustainable water management solutions, while we need also to address some of the most pressing climate and urban challenges of our time. We are here today in this event of the Splashdown series with the title Aligning Innovation, Local Knowledge for Effective Nature-Based Solution Governance. And this also drives, on the transition to climate resilient cities by leveraging the power of our nature-based solutions and integrating cutting-edge methodologies that can underline the critical role of water in building a more sustainable and resilient future for our communities. This event is organized as a part of the MULTISOURCE project, which is an EU-funded initiative, which aims at maximizing the potential of decentralized nature-based solutions for the treatment and reuse in urban areas. MULTISOURCE is a bright example of how international collaboration and knowledge sharing can bring innovative ideas and help cities to adapt to the impacts of climate change. Today, we have quite an interesting agenda, which is rich with insights and expertise. We'll hear from renowned leaders and practitioners, and starting with a key speaker with Catherine Cross, which is an international authority in water-sensitive cities. Then we will explore the case studies of the Milan Metropolitan Cities experience, which integrates climate innovation strategies, and the Mark Lane EU-funded project, who redefines how we can manage aquifers with alternative water resources. And we also explore advanced reuse technologies offered by the NICE project and novel design methodologies managed through the EOPOLIS project. Then we close at the end of the events. We'll engage in a panel discussion that will be led by the colleague Elena Pezzani from ICLEI, and we'll guide our speakers on the insight shared during the speech and the implication for the future. Of course, through these events, thanking you for your time, your availability, and your insights. I also encourage you to share your thoughts, make questions, reflections, in order that discussion will be as much as possible interesting and fruitful for all ourselves. Participating in this event, and who is going to see this through the recording. So start. And really, I look forward, on this inspiring session, and I would like, to give the floor to Catherine Cross, to drive us, to the transition on climate resilient cities by upscaling nature-based solutions. The floor is yours, Catherine. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Okay, thank you very much. I trust you can see my presentation. Okay, so thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me to be part of this webinar. It's really good to be able to exchange and share knowledge in this setting. So as mentioned, I'm going to speak about how to drive the transition to climate resilient cities through upscaling nature-based solutions, which I think is quite relevant to many of the projects that are being presented today. So what does this mean? It's about helping cities prepare for and adapt to the impacts of climate change, like extreme heats, floods, or storms, by using nature-based solutions on a larger scale. And so I'll just start off by a couple of examples. So I'm sharing some concepts that we've developed through a project called Resilient Urban Centres and Surrounds, and that's funded by the Australian government. It's creating initial design concepts for different case studies across Southeast Asia, along with building business cases and upscaling strategies. So I'm going to show some examples from Bangkok in Thailand, where there are proposals of incorporating nature-based solutions into the urban environment to address a variety of climate issues. The first is from Onnut, which was a vacant site that used to be a waste transfer site, a station. And now a public-private partnership is developing a forest park. So the aim has been to create a low-maintenance green lung for the city, in a city which has a lot of impermeable surfaces. And the site is in the process of being converted into a small park. So here in this illustration, we identified some strategies for increasing use and accessibility of the park, which could be considered into the future. And then this just shows the park the area as it was and how it is today. So it's gradually becoming greener. And so we also looked at the benefits and carried out a cost-benefit analysis, which goes into more detail to understand the investment required to make the park more user-friendly. So right now it's some trees, which is great, but then there could be something for people to use the park more. So it's that transition that I'm talking about today. Another example is within the Makassan area in Bangkok, which has a large undeveloped rail yard area with lakes and wetlands, and it's a significant green space in central Bangkok, but it's not accessible. Like nobody can really go in there unless you're an employee of the State Railway of Thailand. So there's potential for it to be a significant green space that can continue to benefit the whole city. But there are development pressures. So there's plans for a high-speed rail project through that area, linking 3 airports. But at the same time, part of the area has been used for flood control and needs to continue to be used to address flood detention, water management, and environmental conservation. So this concept is just one area within Makassan as an example, and shows a wetland park with surface and subsurface wetlands, lakes and forests, and basically water from the central canal will be used to will flow into the pond and boost the area's flood storage capacity, and then the wetlands will improve the water quality. So again, there are various benefits, many of which support climate resilience. So I was showing these examples because really our aim is to actually consider how to upscale, how to take this to the next level. And this means making these solutions a bigger part of how cities are planned and built so they can have a larger, more lasting impact. So there are several enabling conditions, which I'm going to talk about, which many of the EU projects do push forward. So you need champions, you need platforms for connecting, you need knowledge, you need demonstration projects, and you need tools and instruments. And they set the foundation for supportive policies, funding, and partnerships, which can integrate nature-based solutions into urban planning and development at larger scale. So the 2 examples from Thailand, what we're trying to do is, okay, these are some conceptual designs and some of it is being implemented. But the idea is to use this as a stepping stone so that brownfield or unused sites can be better converted into parks and future green space, not just in Bangkok, but also in the rest of the country. So one of the what we are within the project, we're considering what is needed and how to drive change for upscaling investment. How do you go from a single project to influencing a whole city? And we're using a tool called Transition Dynamics Framework, which helps cities plan their journey toward becoming more climate resilient by identifying where they are in the transition process and what actions are needed next. And this is relevant to MULTISOURCE and other projects as it's a way of mapping out how to achieve effective nature-based solutions governance over time. Research has shown that moving from where you are now, so such as using predominantly grey infrastructure, to where you want to be in the future, so better integration of nature-based solutions to support climate resilient cities, needs to go through a number of stages. So there's for example, issue identification, so when a problem is recognized, issue definition, where the root causes identified, so such as a strong reliance on grey infrastructure, a shared understanding where stakeholders broadly acknowledge the problem and its impacts, but solutions might remain undecided, knowledge dissemination where stakeholders begin agreeing on solutions and knowledge about problems and options spreads widely, policy and practice diffusion, so solutions are implemented broadly with policy and practice adopted across groups, and embedding new practice where sustainable approaches become mainstream and part of everyday operations. So this transition is supported by 5 enabling factors that drive progress that I mentioned previously. So champions, which are key individuals and organizations advocating for change, platforms for connecting, such as this, knowledge, which is scientific and local understanding of problems and solutions, projects and applications, so demonstrations, and tools and instruments like regulations, market mechanisms, and guidelines to support adoption of new practices. So the transition dynamics framework puts together the transition stages and enabling factors and helps understand the current position that a city is in or a project is in its transition to becoming more climate resilient, identifies priority strategies for advancing this transition, and sets the framework for monitoring progress over time. So we're using a traffic light assessment approach, looking at the enabling factors. Red means they're completely absent, yellow means it's partially present, and green is fully present. And so the idea is to look at what can move from an absent to fully present enabling factor to support a city or project through the stages of transition to, in this case, to incorporate nature-based solutions as part of climate resilience. So the following slides show how the transition can be mapped over time and how you can look at the changes. And even if everything is green, that doesn't mean that it's obviously static. Everything is dynamic. So we have to consider how community expectations increase, technology evolves, the climate changes, assumptions around growth are consistently understated. So I just go showing an example how we're applying this. So this is at the city scale from Thailand. And we're just in the process of applying this framework across 4 countries, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. So any thoughts or feedback on this are much welcome. So in Thailand, the Bangkok governor is aiming to create a 15-minute park, a 15-minute city with accessible green spaces by adding 130 parks and doubling the tree planting goal to 2 million by 2026, as Bangkok has actually set an original target of 1 million trees in 2 years. So there's this really strong push to having a lot of parks. And the governor has been created a situation where there's good connected champions, but to move to becoming influential and institutionalized, an approach could be to develop a leadership program for potential nature-based solution champions across different sectors and across different cities. In terms of tools and instruments, there are obviously all these parks, but what would be useful to continue to scale up and bring this to other parts of Thailand is to have documented evidence of the benefits. So, you know, how does this change urban heat? How is it affecting flood control? How is it contributing to carbon sequestration? So there are ad hoc approaches to gathering evidence, but it could be more standardized. And then in terms of tools and instruments, there are like different regulations, some that are helping the situation, some that aren't. So considering what is already in place, the next step is to strengthen existing regulations with practical implementation guidelines. So you could obviously have, we all know you could have really good policy regulations, but the aim is really to look at how to put it into practice. So actually that's one of the things that we're helping with in Thailand. So yeah, in conclusion, this is just a framework to ask questions. It's not a cookbook with designated solutions. The process is and relationships are just as important as tools and reports. Yeah, if you have any questions or want to explore this a bit further, I have some resources on this slide and happy to share afterwards. Thank you very much.
Actually, it was an extremely interesting presentation and let's say bright examples. I mean, how things can be done. Now, I mean, it's the time, I mean, to listen from the multi-source project, and particularly from the experience of the metropolitan area of Milan. And I will ask Ms. Francesca Framba to take the floor and give us, I mean, insights on the experience of the metropolitan city of Milan in the multi-source solution. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you see anything.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So thank you so much for inviting us to explore what we did in the metropolitan area of Milan. And also it was really, really interesting, the previous presentation. And I hope that we can have some links between the two presentations. So first of all, the point of view I wanted to explain today, it's how projects and European projects can be a key point for a public entity to develop new strategies and to make actions. But first, just a quick overview of the territory. And so this is the metropolitan area of Milan that you can see here on the right. And it's located in the northern part of Italy, in the Lombardy region, as you can see from here. It's a large area, but it's mainly build-up areas and agricultural areas. And so this, of course, has challenges, and inside you can find 133 municipalities. So that for say that it's a complex scenario, and of course more about resilience. It's even more complicated. This is the pathway we did through the various projects. Most of them are European projects, but we have also national and local project we developed. So it's from 2016. We are doing this, streets, and we are developing these strategies. And as you can see, MULTISOURCE, it's in the middle. What we did is focusing on resilience, because the entity of the metropolitan city of Milan, it's large and has a lot of competencies. And so the first thing we did, it was understanding how our competencies were related to sustainable development issues. And so to be able to understand how we can act and where. And this was made through the Metropolitan Urban Agenda for the Sustainable Development. And then this was translated inside our own policies. So the strategic plan of the metropolitan city and the territorial plan. Then we developed a knowledge system that it's founded on the study of our territory, and then the phenomena that are found in our territory, and then the effects that these two things combined bring on the metropolitan city. To be more specific about the results of project, I wanted to explain some results. First of all, the tools that we developed through various projects. One also is a result from the MULTISOURCE. It's not our own tool, but it was developed inside MULTISOURCE. So we have the territorii resilienti that it's that you can find all in these links. That it's an instrument to understand for the single municipalities to understand their territory and how can they transform their territory. Then it's not for that. So what type of nature-based solution related to water you can use and where and why and to do what. And then the Cimetro that it's developed internally, that it's basically knowledge and data around all the competencies related to the environmental issues inside the metropolitan area. And then MetroAdapt platform from the Life MetroAdapt project. And this is more climatic information about our territory. So about heat and about rain and the effects that these two phenomena has on the metropolitan area. Then something we are really proud of, and it's a direct result from the MULTISOURCE. We developed a stable territorial comparison board inside our institutions. And so basically, thanks to MULTISOURCE, we mapped the stakeholder in their area that had a say in the water management issues. And so we were able to identify and to understand who of them were pivot for our action. And we brought them together. And so we started to have a meeting every 6 months with every time with a different focus or a development of the previous meeting. And we decided together through online form or other tools what the topic was about. And we inside the meeting we developed that topic. And so the great thing is that this table, this board, goes beyond the project and will continue to live afterwards. And we selected 3 main topics to be discussed. 3, more than topic, 3 categories. And so about technologies, about governance, and also about business issues. So how the nature-based solution for water management can be funded and sustained. And as you can see, maybe from the previous slide, these are the stakeholder we involved. So the region, us ourselves, of course, but also the utilities for water management, because we have two, and also a regional environmental agency, and another entity that has inside all the different municipalities of the Lombardy region. With this work, we are developing also some documents that can reassume the point of view of our territory to develop new strategies and how to do it. And the third result, I think it's the more evident, maybe. It's inside the Metropolitan Urban Agenda, we developed a trajectory that it's the resilient trajectory. And what we intend to do is to disseminate nature-based solution that can have a good impact about water management, but also about heat management inside all our municipalities. And this is called the Metropolitan Sponge City Strategy. What's that basically? So it's a special type of urban planning that envisage the realization of nature-based solutions, water management throughout all the territory. And so, yeah, the aim is really to develop a new ecosystem, a new urban ecosystem that it's resilient. What we are doing right now is to develop a 90 intervention throughout 32 municipalities. And these are some numbers that you can see here on the right. So this is basically the first step. We are doing this with some fundings that are coming from the government, but we intend to do more and continue to build this type of interventions. And as I was saying, the intervention areas are where we can try to resolve two different issues. So one related to rain, to water in general, and in particular to runoff. But as Andrea was saying, also to have a better quality in the groundwater. And the other issue is the heat island and the heat waves. So with the green, of course, the heat island are less. And so this is the two issue we're trying to face. And this is, I'm concluding with an example. So this was the one of the 90 area before the intervention. So you can see just a street between two industrial buildings, and it's just like cement, of course. And this is the phase of the work, the excavation works, and this is the situation now. So here also we were trying to develop a place for people that work in this industrial buildings to have also a place where to go to have some I don't know, refreshment. And so this is right now. Just to have some thoughts after what all we did and what we are continuing to do. What we are trying to ask ourselves, it's how we can transition from this phase that it's almost experimental to an ordinary type of development of the territory. And so this is one also of the focus of the board we were talking about before. And this is why for us it's so important, because the three issue we face, and I think so many other places can relate, are how to establish economic resources that are stable and not extraordinary to implement this kind of solutions, but also how to change really the regulation and the administrative processes, that it's not just policy, but it's really something else, that it's more related to the single entities, the municipalities that maybe are really small and has all their processes that are well established, and we have to change them. Last but not least, the territorial involvement that on water in particular, for us at least, it's not so easy to pass the concept that water is a extremely sensible resource, and so that's for us it's a topic. Well, thank you for the time, and I'm here for questions later.
Thank you, Francesca. Thank you for bringing the example of the sponge experiments. I mean, in Milan, and now I mean we change projects. We change also, let's say, domain, and we go to the Mark-Lamade project, which is a new funded project and managed by Setaqua. And I'd like to ask, I mean, Sarah Espinosa, she's the coordinator of the project. Good morning, Sarah. Welcome.
Good morning.
Splashdown series event. And well, I mean, the floor is yours. Please, I mean, give us, I mean, insights, I mean, about the Mark-Lamade, how this can contribute, I mean, to the to align the innovation and knowledge for effective knowledge-based solution governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea, and thank you very much for giving a space in this event to present Mark-Lamade project. And also, I'm happy to see in the timeline of projects that Francesca just presented that you are involved in our project, because it's a sister project of Mark-Lamade, so it's nice to see that. And well, today I'm going to share with you the main information, the objectives, the expected results, and somehow the demo sites, and also the key points and next steps within Mark-Lamade project. As general information, the call was an innovation action. So the solution that we proposed is with a high TRL, more or less around 7. And the expected outcomes from the call was to support decision makers to integrate alternative water resources in supply system, because this integration has not been embedded at river basin scale, increase social awareness, acceptance, and trust, because the critical factors that hinder this public acceptance has not been properly addressed by the moment, and also increase the market potential, because this CAPEX OPEX analysis has not been also properly addressed, and especially considering the cost recovery of the infrastructures. So as you can see, this required a multidisciplinary approach. So we brought together this great consortium of 12 partners and one associated partner, in which there are technology centers, universities, water utilities, water public administration, and consultancies. This project started in February of this year and will end in January of 2027. The main objective of the project is to integrate the alternative, the managed aquifer recharge with alternative water resources as a structural measure in the river basin and drought management plans in order to face the impacts of climate change context. And the specific objectives are both to achieve the high-level operational efficiency of these infrastructures and also the economic and financial feasibility and sustainability, support water utilities operators and decision makers in planning and also in operating these kind of systems with alternative water resources, to bring social awareness, acceptance, and trust in this kind of technique, deliver a comprehensive regulatory framework in the actual European policy regarding managed aquifer recharge with alternative water resources, and ensure the availability and sustainability of groundwater resources. This taking into account the preservation and the improvement of the global status of the groundwater bodies. Here you have this conceptual scheme of the main lines that we are developing in MARCLAIM project. The MARCLAIM solution is based in three main pillars: the operational efficiency pillar, the economic sustainability, and the social perception and regulatory framework. We are developing 6 tools regarding these two first main pillars for improving the monitoring of the water quality, to be able to forecast the water resources availability in the short and in the long term, to be able to minimize the risk related with the use of alternative water resources in managed aquifer recharge, with tools that are kind of early warning alert and can provide the water operators this tool to minimize the risk linked with this use, that mainly are health risk, environmental risk, and operational risk. Also to provide an assessment of the water footprint related with managed aquifer recharge, to assess and to calculate the economic value to have this amount, this volume of water stored in an aquifer in terms of resilience, and also to provide a new model, a novel tariff setting regarding this use of alternative water resources. All of this will be integrated in the IDST, a decision support tool. And all these results will be implemented and validated in 3 demo sites that I'm going to explain you in the next slide. And the part related more with the social pillar, in here we will implement also social engagement actions and social acceptance actions. All the lessons learned will be gathered and put together in guidelines, and will also include these policy recommendations. So regarding the demo sites, we have three main demo sites located in Southern Europe and Western Europe. So we have different climate context and different climate conditions and different social and economic context. In Southern Europe, we have the demo sites located in Spain and in Portugal, and in Western Europe in the Netherlands. Regarding the Spanish demo site, here we have a combined scheme of managed aquifer recharge. The site is located in the river basin of El Llobregat. And here we have an infiltration pond with a decontamination pond also, and the water recharge is reclaimed water. The other scheme within this demo site is a deep injection well, and the water recharge is surface water from the Llobregat River, but is mixed with reclaimed water that is poured upstream in the river. What are the expected outcomes within this demo site? To provide water security, acting as buffer in times of drought, to stabilize the physicochemical parameters, because the drinking water treatment plant used to take water from the river. It's surface water, so here we have this variety of these parameters that can be a problem in the pre-treatment and in the post-treatment. So here we provide this stabilization of these parameters. Also, the natural biodegradation of some pathogens and some emerging contaminants within the aquifer, and preservation of water resources by stopping the saline intrusion. Regarding the Portuguese demo site located in Comporta, here the infrastructure is located in Comporta's wastewater treatment plant, and the scheme is 4 infiltration ponds. 2 of them has a reactive organic layer in the bottom in order to improve the quality of the water to be recharged. Here the water to be recharged comes from the secondary treatment. And it's worthy to be said that in Portugal, this has been the first MARS system licensed and is running from October 1st of 2021. The expected outcomes here in this demo site is to introduce this technique, SAT-MAR, that is soil aquifer treatment of water, optimize the operation scenarios, and provide for climate change adapted solution. This both regarding to extrapolate and to replicate this use of the effluent, not to be poured directly or discharged in the rivers, for example, but to use this technique to improve the quality of the effluent, and also enhance public social acceptance of conventional alternative water resources, while helping to protect natural and sensitive areas, which is this one Comporta. Regarding the third demo site, it's in the Netherlands, located specifically in Texel. Here, it's an agricultural area, so the irrigation returns are collected in this tile drainage water system. It's stored in a deposit, and it's also infiltrated in the aquifer with horizontal wells in this case. And the expected outcome of this demo site is to preserve the aquifer water quality, because this aquifer is a brackish one, so the water recharge has better quality regarding salinity. Make these systems of tail drainage water available for large-scale ASR schemes. Prolong the lifetime of the infiltration wells by reducing the clogging potential of the infiltrated water, and increase the reliability and acceptance of these kind of systems in the agricultural sector. So at the end, promote farmers' engagement to recognize the necessity of these kind of systems in the context that we are living. And to finalize the presentation, here you have gathered the main key points, and the next steps. The key points are that multiple benefits can come from managed aquifer recharge with alternative water resources, but here we have a great barrier, that is the permit acquisition. That these 3 main pillars that I have commented, the operational efficiency, the economic sustainability, and social acceptance, together are the key of the integration of this technique as a structural measure within the river basin and drought management plans. And we have to focus on how to overcome these regulation barriers. And as next steps, further digital tools development and demonstration in the 3 demo sites that I have commented. I start working on the workshops and community of practices. Last week we had the first workshop in El Llobregat demo site, and also continue to establish synergies and networking with projects with the topic related to us. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm here if you have any question.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks a lot for your insight, for the information and the experience offered by this project. Now we enter into another project, which is nice. I'm sorry, and I would like to invite Enrique Romero and Carmen Machi-Castaner, they are experts in sustainable water management at ICLE Europe, and Enrique Romero is a researcher at Aqualia. So please, take the floor, and you're welcome to offer us, this exploration of these projects.
Hello, so thank you, Andrea, for the presentation. So, well, right now I'm just going to do the brief presentation about the NICE project, which virtually it tries to evaluate a lot of different nature-based solutions, but today I'm going to speak a little bit more about the treatment wetlands for water reuse. So just as a brief presentation, so I'm Enrique. I have a PhD in environmental engineering, and right now I'm working as a researcher for Qualia, and my colleague Carmen, which couldn't be here today. She worked for a partner of the NICE project, which is ICLE, and she has more than 14 years of experience in engineering and research projects, especially for nature-based solutions. Now, following this brief presentation, so right now we do have a lot of problems with water stress in different areas of the world, but especially in semi-arid and arid regions. Now, the thing here is that in order for us to deal with this problem, we have different solutions, and right now we are mostly trying to focus on treatment wetlands, especially for these regions. Now, why is that? The thing with treatment wetlands is that they work, let's say, as a sort of sustainable drainage, where all of the stormwater or urban wastewater is captured and treated in the same, let's call it wetland or drainage. With the benefit that this reduces the flooding risk and the soil erosion, while also filtering and retaining in sporadic but intense rainfall events. Also, another benefit of this technology is that it also provides treated wastewater for non-potable uses, helping reduce the water stress in these regions, especially in semi-arid and arid regions. This also aligns with many of the sustainable development goals by the UN, but also by some local legislations that are beginning to appear in Europe, particularly, for example, in Spain, where new regulations are starting to pop up, especially for optimal management and use of treated wastewater. Now, seeing all of these benefits of the treatment wetlands, for the NICE project, we have, let's say, a bit of an evolution of treatment wetland or constructed wetlands. So right now we begin by implementing treatment wetlands for urban wastewater treatment. In this slide, I am presenting to you a bit of the results that we have had for a pilot that we did or we developed in Talavera de la Reina, which is a city in central Spain characterized by low temperatures during wintertime and hot summer. For this particular climate, we developed 3 different types of intensive constructed wetland, especially manufactured with bioelectric conductive materials and under continuous aeration to improve the nitrification and the denitrification process. And also, we compare this type of intensive and improved treatment wetlands, say the more conventional treatment waste wetland, like the ones made with sand and gravel. So we did for all of the for this pilot, that was that we not only manufacture these treatment wetlands with bioelectroconductive materials, but also we did some bioaugmentation with gram-negative bacteria in order for us to improve the denitrification processes, and we also integrated the aeration with this bioelectroconductive material for improving the overall efficiency of the night. But how does this translate in for removal efficiency? So right now, the results that we have got so far for these pilots to treat urban wastewater is very positive, especially for removing total suspended solids, where we remove up to 94% of the solids. For COD, or for organic matter removal, we have achieved almost 90% of removal, as well as for total phosphorus and inorganic nitrogen, where we have able to remove not only around 50 to 60% of the phosphorus in the wastewater, but also we have been able to remove up to 90% of the ammonia nitrogen in this urban wastewater. Now, seeing all of this great improvement of the treatment wetlands for urban wastewater, we have also decided now to further improve this pilot now by implementing this at sort of, let's say, a multi-stage or a mixture of treatment wetland for stormwater runoff and gray water. So, particularly, this pilot has been implemented in Algeciras, Spain. So the thing with by choosing this type of wastewater is interesting to the project because the stormwater runoff not only includes a variety of pollutants, especially emerging pollutants and oils and grease, but it also includes a lot of sediment, which, as we have seen, can be removed using the intensified treatment wetlands, but also from gray water. Gray water, as just defined here, is also the wastewater that contains or that carries a lot of heavy metals, nutrients, and especially surfactants coming from soaps and other detergents. So, by using this technology, we are aiming to reduce not only the contaminants brought by stormwater runoff, but also to reduce the reliance on freshwater sources, especially for semi-arid regions like Algeciras. So virtually, in here, I present to you a small diagram of the pilot that we have been trying to construct in Algeciras. So as we can see here, the multi-stage pilot consists briefly of two inlets or inflows of waste of gray water, and then another one of a stormwater tank. Now, the thing here is that in just one treatment wasteland, we are trying to feed not only one part of the treatment wasteland with gray water, but also another one with another part of the treatment wasteland with the stormwater tank. This is for us in order to further or improve the efficiency of removal by mixing a bit the gray water with the runoff sewer. And also here I have put some picture of the development or the deployment of the pilot in Algeciras. Okay, so now the thing here of the main innovations of this project, and I have previously mentioned, right now treatment wetlands has been mostly used for urban wastewater. So the main innovation here is that we are trying to put or test this type of wetland, especially for stormwater and gray water treatment. But also other innovation aspects that we're trying to put here is that we're also testing new absorbent materials that could help us prevent clogging of the system. We're also trying a saturated layer at the bottom of the treatment wetlands to recover most of the wastewater or the regenerated water for further use. And also virtually the main innovation is that all of the experience that we have got from the Talavera de la Reina side, we're updating to develop a new intensified system now this time for stormwater and gray water treatment. So right now, the project is still under development, but so far what we have observed is that the intensification or the improvement of the treatment wetlands for wastewater treatment have reduced solid and organic matter contamination by like a lot of by a much, but we still need to further work on the nitrogen removal and the phosphorus removal. In this context, by using the multi-stage wedge plant, we are trying, or we are considering that this is a promising technology, especially for gray water treatment, as most important contaminants are removed, including solids and ammonia nitrogen. So that's a bit the improvement or the project, the NICE project. I appreciate your attention.
Many thanks, Enrique. Thanks for the information on the NICE project. And well, we are a bit behind the schedule. So we have the last speaker, who is Ranko Bozovic from the EUPOLIS project, which is an NbS related project which looks at the health and well-being of citizens.
Hello, everyone. I will try to share the screen. Right. Do you see my screen now?
We don't see the right screen, so we can see only your emails and not the presentation.
Sorry, something is wrong. Let me try again. Any luck now, Ellen?
Yes, now we can see it. It's not still in presenter view, but
Yeah, I will just do it slideshow beginning here.
Just a recommendation, to keep the time as much as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, I'm aware. Thank you. But let me see why is it? Okay, it doesn't seem like it's coming to the presentation view, but I think we can do it this way, if you don't mind.
yes, sure.
Right.
That's also fine. Thank you.
Okay, basically, EUPOLIS project is a product of Horizon Project integrated NbS-based urban planning methodology for enhancing health and well-being. Now, my previous presenters that we had today actually proved that we are all more or less very much compatible. And that is something that I like to see, and we can learn from each other. In this particular presentation, I will try to concentrate on something that we consider very important, and that is that urban planning does not have as a standard content public health and well-being as a criteria for planning. So we have concentrated a lot on methodology, how to try to actually overcome that one, and then I will try now to present that methodology to you. We are dealing here with two simple elements in a EUPOLIS model. One is outdoor environment, another one is citizen activities. Now, outdoor environment is something that we would like to increase the quality for, and it has a number of categories. So what we do with nature-based solutions, we simply try to produce functional nature-based solutions that will increase the quality of each of these categories. On the other side, citizens' activities within this outdoor environment are these activities here, and what we are trying to do within the design is actually propose facilities to accommodate these activities. So it's quite a simple system. The process goes again quite simple for each demo sites in this project, and we will propose that to be done on the large scale. We analyze the different site data. We identify challenges and themes, convert them into contextual indicators, and arrive to the site baseline diagnosis. Then we develop a tool. I wouldn't call it tool, we actually call it rather a template, which we call goal-driven planning matrix, which is our main planning instrument, where we define the strategic goals, targets, and then NbS interventions. I'll present that to you a little bit later. We go through evaluating indicators, and once we produce and construct all these NbSs, we actually evaluate it and compare to the baseline status which was designed, which was actually wished to be done. Now, just few little information in between. When you talk about challenges and themes for each of the sites, you are actually talking about number of categories. We develop challenges and themes for urban development, for environmental challenges, for social challenges, and economic and business challenges. It's very important to have this diversity because they very much impact each other. One of the most important, though, items is actually inclusion or cooperation or collaboration with the citizens. We have decided actually not to use these words. We have decided to use a word co-design, and we did all these workshops on these sites with the people, and we really helped them co-design with us, and that has produced quite astonishing effects actually. At the end of the day, when you arrive to the demo site baseline, this is one of the sites in Polish city of Łódź, in the environmental, social, urban, and business category, and that baseline status is a basis of your development project further, and actually gives you a chance to identify within the site, this is the site, identify the points which would require some sort of NbS intervention to improve any quality of any of these categories that I just mentioned. Coming to the goal-driven planning matrix. So one of the main concepts of urban planning for us is that any urban regeneration should come with a synergy of resources to produce this high quality of efficiency. That's why we constructed this matrix, which is actually systemic, very much systemic approach to the planning. And I will quickly explain it. It is made of goals. So these are EUPOLIS project goals, which are the main strategic items or objectives you want to achieve. And then for each of these goals, you produce a set of targets. For each of these targets, you produce target indicators, which are analyses that are actually necessary to optimize concepts which are actually meeting these targets. Once you optimize these concepts that are meeting the targets, you actually simply give instruction to your planning teams to propose or design solutions, facilities that are support these targets. So this is the system, how it works. It is very systematic and very comprehensive. And in the beginning, in the EUPOLIS project, we had something like 300 items here, which are theoretical proposals, what can be done. Okay. And then these were the main goals, just to mention them in the EUPOLIS project: psychological and psychological responses, health indicators related to physical activities, indicators related to the improvement of local conditions, enhancement of social cohesion, attachment among users, density and strength of community ties, number of planning natural systems, improvement in ecosystems, and list of activated and business models. So these are basically the main goals, and from those we started developing all these other information. And then how you actually select these interventions from these three sources: project requirements, demo site requirements, citizen requirements. You develop these GDPMs and other instruments, and from those you select the most effective interventions to arrive to the list of interventions that are you're going to propose. Just two small examples. What is actually entering into these goal-driven planning matrix as entering data? Within the EUPOLIS project, we have developed a livability model, and that livability model has a number of categories: sense of safety, multifunctionality, contact with areas, so on. Each of these is supported by a number of principles and concepts and proposals. So basically, each of these are actually entering as one item to be considered and developed within the goal-driven planning matrix. And as a result, here you have entering data and outputs. The main outputs here are really theoretically possible interventions at demo site, and then we sit with the cities and do the customization of these lists to actually select which of those are really applicable to these sites. And then one also for us quite important point is that NbSs in general terms should be designed each with specific functions related to public health and well-being, social aspect, environmental economy. So as a very good example of that thinking is trees. Trees are, of course, green and beautiful, but in EUPOLIS they're also with 9 different functions. Each of these trees with specific characteristics at a specific place creates a specific function. This shading, that shading, reduce of energy, socializing points, so on. They are then, these functions, interacting with standard cities functions or facilities or anything else. And as a result, you actually arrive to the synergy benefits. Now, this is something that you don't really get regularly in standard planning process. These red ones are actually tangible ones, and these black ones are not tangible ones. So this is a huge amount of new, very useful information. Each of them you can use in a different manner. And all of that is actually designed with this aim to try to arrive to the multidisciplinary and multifunctionally EUPOLIS planning systems. All previous speakers actually mentioned that, but this is just our contribution to the method, how to arrive or try to arrive to this particular quality of environment that we live in. Thank you very much for your time and patience.
Great. Thank you so much for all the presentations. So indeed, we are a bit back when it comes to the timeline, but I would like to give the floor for some questions if there are to the presentations we heard earlier. So please feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions about the speakers. And of course, the speakers to each other, right? So it doesn't have to come only from the audience. So Catherine, please.
Yeah, I had a question for Francesca on the Metropolitan Sponge City strategy. I was wondering, how are residents and businesses taking part? What is the plan there?
Well, thank you for the question. Actually, it's I think it's one thing to underline that for now, since the funding came from the government and had a really strict process, we made a top top-down approach. So for now, we are developing this infrastructure in public spaces. So they are in squares, parking lots, and streets that we directly could implement. So for right now, this is the process. But of course, the entrepreneurs were involved afterwards in the project, just for the design, and also the construction, the building, but it's a completely public process. The citizens were not involved in the design of this strategy, but now we are doing some meetings to let the people understand this kind of infrastructure, to really understand how this infrastructure impact on their lives and how they work, and to make them feel more involved, but also more aware. And so we are doing this right now, and it's going to be for the next 2 years, this involvement for each municipality in which the nature-based solutions are being built. Of course, for the future, since this is a long-term strategy, it's not just related to this initial funding. We want to develop a different process to involve every category of the helix inside, for them to have different positions, like to bring their added value to this strategy. But for now, it's like this.
Great, thanks a lot. While we will receive other questions, I would like to thank Sarah, because she will have to leave the meeting in 1 minute from now. So Sarah, thanks a lot for bringing MarkLane and giving us a brief overview of the presentation. And since this is only a 1-year project, we do look forward to the results and the work that you're going to do in the next year. So thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you to invite us and come with us for further events and future events.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Any other questions to the speaker? So if you have any questions for Sarah, we can forward her the questions or share with you the email, and then you can reach out to her. I see that there is a question on the chat. Yes, Alexandra, we will share the recording later, and we can upload also the presentations from everyone. Any other questions from anyone else? Okay, I did actually have a question for Catherine and her presentation. So thanks a lot, Catherine, for giving us an overview. And I found also the enabling conditions quite an interesting work. So I was wondering, because you also mentioned that the policy recommendations should be linked with actionable examples or guidelines, which I totally I agree on that. So where do you see the role of these enabling conditions into translating the policy into action?
I guess like it's across the board. The idea of the framework is to think of, like, I guess, depending on where you are in that S curve, like where you are in the transition, to look at how you kind of move from one state to another. So yeah, policy could be included under, I mean, it could be included under like the category of tools and I think, yeah, tools, which includes like regulations, like basically all the instruments that you would use to drive change. But one thing that I have been told is that in reality, in order to really drive change, you kind of need to put a lot of effort into, and I think we all know this intuitively, like into the champions, into the network, into the knowledge, like the evidence base, while working on policy change. So, but that basically we in the discussion of the people who created this matrix, they say from their experience, they've applied it across like 80 different places in Australia, that a lot more effort really, it pays off to put a lot of effort into like the left side of the matrix, which has that champions, networks, knowledge, and so on, to drive the policy change at the same time. Hope that answers the question.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, I totally agree that bringing different stakeholders and providing them a more active role that could also then support translating these policy recommendations into actually active or implementation at the scale. All right, looking then at the time, we can take one more questions if there is any. Or otherwise, I will hand over back to Andrea to give us some key takeaways from this webinar and close the webinar. Andrea, over to you.
Thank you, Elena, and thank you all for the very insightful consideration on how knowledge-based solutions can support in the more and more intensive crisis management. What I see is that from each and every project, there is a key role of the territory where the knowledge-based solutions are implemented, and this is also reflects the overall characteristics of the water domain, where water it's a global issue. We say that it's a global challenge because climate change concerns all the planets with a different level of intensity, but then water is really in the eye of the cycle. But then we need to address solutions at the local level, and knowledge-based solutions are the solutions that can help us, as we see from different experience from all this project that we saw today, can really bring long-term sustainable solutions in which, of course, we have to find a way to balance what is the financial aspect, let's say the economy, and looking at finding the opportunity of setting standards for our knowledge-based solutions opportunities, and of course looking at the regulation and trying to involve as much as possible in a structured manner the stakeholders of the territories, because this reminds me quite closely the structure of a living lab, and where we need to have all the local stakeholders involved under a common consensus and a common understanding on the problem first, and then on the way to addressing it. And when it comes to water, water doesn't allow to spend too much time without taking action. And what I've seen from this project is that these projects are really taking action and can provide bright examples of how to undertake innovative actions in order to address the water challenges at urban level. So I think that it has been really a great webinar. We have been able to put together different perspectives from different projects, and really on behalf of the multi-source project, on behalf of Water Europe, I would like really to thank you all for your invaluable contribution. And thank you to Elena for the organization, the great support, and my colleague Isabella Gervasio, and to the multi-source project once again. Thank you so much, and see you next time for the next event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.